make you think, or maybe they need thinking done to open out what they could mean. And a poem can, sometimes long poems you kind of get dragged into all the messing around with words and stuff. But short poems, they just sort of spark something in you, and it's in your mind that your mind gets exercised and opens out to see a bigger picture. So what have I done? I've got a few poems here. A couple from a fellow called Rumi, who I know, well, not much about. He was some kind of Sufi mystic, whatever that is. So I don't know when he existed actually. Anyway, he existed a long time ago, and I'll just read you a couple of his written pieces. This poem, I like the title, given our budget and our sticky times that we're in apparently. This poem is called Humble Living. Humble living. Humble living does not diminish, it fills. Going back to a simpler self gives wisdom. When a man makes up a story for his child, he becomes a father and a child together. Listen. Another poem I picked up on, I quite like, is by someone who I know nothing about, a German, I believe. Rainer Maria Rilke is his name, and this poem is called A Walk. My eyes already touch the sunny hill, going far ahead of the road I have begun. So we are grasped by what we cannot grasp. It has its inner light, even from a distance, and changes us, even if we do not reach it, into something else, which, hardly sensing it, we already are. A gesture waves us on, answering our own wave, but what we feel is the wind in our faces. And another little poem from Rumi, entitled Who Makes These Changes? Who makes these changes? I shoot an arrow straight. Sorry. I shoot an arrow right. It lands left. I ride after a deer and find myself chased by a hog. I plot to get what I want and end up in prison. I dig pits to trap others and fall in. I should be suspicious of what I want. And as I think I have time, in the terrible fear that this meeting might actually end on time, just throw in a few. These are short little sentences basically from a fellow called William Blake, who I also know not much about, except that he might be some kind of a nutcase. And I don't know, he was some crazy guy travelling around Europe when it was, when the world's a very different place. But he was kind of, again, he was another kind of mystic guy, but he apparently come back to the drugs and just interesting experience. Anyway, these are short sentences of his called Proverbs from Hell. You never know what is enough unless you know what is more than enough. This is from a guy who used to. What is now proved was once only imagined. Improvement makes straight roads, but the crooked roads without improvements are the roads of genius. Sooner murder an infant in its cradle than nurse unacted desires. He who desires but acts not The road of excess leads to the palace of wisdom.
You want to follow that road?
No bird soars too high if he soars with his own wings. And the final one from William Blake. If the fool would persist in his folly,